What is up, FIFA Tiers, and welcome back to the FUT Tiers podcast with myself, LAJS, and my two co-hosts in both B-Rad and Mersgoth. How you guys doing this week?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad yourself.
Yeah, I'm doing fairly well, Mers. What about you?
I'm not too bad. At least I can't really curse myself right now. Or curse you.
Let's not talk about cursing. Obviously, at this point, the episodes of our series should, or at least of this series, should be up at Pack to the Future this week. That's quite the ominous reflection on that.
It is.
But looking at, obviously, a lot of people's thoughts on last week being Silver Stars promo, we've hit FUT Birthday this week, whilst it's actually a bit early. It's normally, I think, the end of March.
Yes.
So the fact that they've made it token-based and it's going to carry on for a few weeks, it's going to carry it closer, but I don't think it's actually going to hit when... I'm pretty certain it's somewhere in the 20th. I think it's like the 26th specifically. Is the day?
Normally around the 20th because of my birthday's around that sort of period of time, so that's how I normally go by.
Yeah.
So they've pushed it forward this year, which kind of came unexpected because obviously last week we were making our predictions on what the next program is. I believe one of us actually said FUT Birthday because of based off the leaks that were coming out. But I was under the impression it was going to be What If. I think, Mers, were you convinced it was Carnival?
Yeah, I saw something saying Carnival was coming out. So that's why I kind of had that assumption. But I think it's the leakers being thrown off now by EA.
Yeah, Joe, let's get straight into that. There was a couple that got thrown off for a fair while. I know this man got only discovered about an hour before the release, and that is Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. So big hitter. I believe it's a 5-star Cristiano Ronaldo valued at 5 mil, which is actually a 94 rated special card. Obviously he's got his team of the year.
Yeah.
But 5-star obviously makes it more expensive than that because, let's be honest, a chem style can fix the difference between these two cards. I still find it funny though when he got his team of the tournament card, it didn't boost his ones to watch. I still find that quite funny. So he's still got a 91 ones to watch. But going through a couple of these here, we're actually looking at a few transfer players. So to touch on, and Ndombele's got an SBC, which today really doesn't look like worth doing. Tammy Abraham has got the objective.
Yeah.
But if we're moving into actual good-looking cards, you got ones like Allen. You've got the Ronaldo troll himself in Noon Menge. Tony Kroos with pace and good sort of stats. It's kind of weird seeing a 5-star Tony Kroos with 84 pace. That card looks absolutely mental, and if I had to pack one without being like too outrageous saying, oh yeah, just give me Ronaldo, that card actually screams out to me, yes, please do this card.
Yeah.
Jackie Grealish gets a card alongside... You get into the stinkers when you look at the likes of Bebu, which Kamada, Torreira. They're all about the 20 to 30k region, but they're actually still solid cards. Mers is going to be happy. I would be happy because I packed this man last year in my debut sort of squad building video, or at least on my channel, with Martin Odegaard getting in the mini release that came out today. Because we are recording this on a Sunday, for those wondering, so the TWIF won't be... we'll be back to the prediction days, and we're going to try and get rid of some of the nitpicking. We've researched ahead of schedule. We've got Brad on that. Brad is on that, and he's actually done some research.
This is better than the FUTBin predictor, if I'm honest.
Oh, that's a bold claim. Wow. That's a bold claim. Here we go. Right, we're gonna have a look at that comparison from week by week.
God, please be close. Yeah.
Next week we're going to compare Brad's predictions with FUTBin's. Just a nice little thing to do with his confidence. But how do you guys feel about this promo? Because there is quite a few cards varying from very top range to there's still some good, lower rated and less desirable cards. There seems to be less outright stinkers.
I love FUT Birthday as a promo. I think I loved it more when it was kind of the only promo really where they did major position changes and weak foot changes. I know they've Shapeshifters we had one year where they did some of that as well, but it's a shame that now they're doing it so often that it kind of has taken away a little bit from the novelty of this. because we get it in almost, well, not every promo, but, you know, quite often. But I think, yeah, some of the cards look sick. And unlike other promos where we've had like one sort of clear-cut, like, expensive player and then the next one down from that is like 70k, there's obviously been like, obviously Ronaldo is like 5 mil, but then a lot of players around about 1 million coins, or certainly in the high sort of 800, 900,000 coins. So that I've quite enjoyed seeing. There's like some that it's not, you don't just have to pack the one in order for you to actually make some coins from this if you're lucky enough to pack one. So yeah, I like it.
I mean, you say this promo, but the last few promos have been that way in terms of you have like some cheap players like this one. You've got Torreira, Kamada, that are like really cheap, and then you start going up the scale, and then really going up the scale with like your Allens and stuff. But the last sort of maybe three promos, because you had the Road to the Finals, you've got this, and you had Future Stars, where there was a better rate, like higher range of top tier cards. And I think it's just because it's getting to that stage now where I think the market's now starting to get some kind of form of identity with some cards, and the fact that you get into those really high rated, high stats where people are going, right, this is truly a meta player, this is what we need to have for the teams and stuff like that. So that's what's driving up the price, I think, for a lot of them. Whereas I think back last year, in first few months, the market was just all over the place. So I think there was probably some cards, like Winter Wild cards, for instance, right? After it finished, a lot of the cards, like say Guendouzi, was like 120k, but then went up to 300k afterwards. Because people then realised, actually, no, he shouldn't be that value. He should be much higher because he's a very desirable card because everyone's running Liga and stuff. But I do love FUT Birthday because you get to see some like fan favourites from previous years, like with their promo cards coming back. Like say for instance Alan, he's probably, I mean, if I take away the allegiance of Odegaard, because obviously he's going to be my number one target, Alan is like the one that I really want to have because he looks like he would be an absolute beast at CDM in Premier League team or something like that.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
Yeah, he looks really incredible and stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to trying to get, I would say.
Yeah, and whilst we're talking about stuff in packs, we do need to touch on the man of the matches, which Andre Silva Watch is back on. He's got himself an 87 rated card. One of the jewels in the crown with this, because there's a Foden card. Obviously, he's got a better special card at this point. There's a position change Werner at left wing, which is quite nice. You move on to an upgrade on ones to watch. Berghuis, Borja Iglesias got one. Guiri, if you didn't do that objective for the Guiri that's been out, obviously that was bugged for a while, so people might not have done it. You do get that. It does have slightly worse weak foot. And Gonzalo Guedes has moved to a right wing from left wing as well. So they're the main people involved in that. There are some smaller ones down the line as well. I believe there's Slotterbeck. I don't know if that impacts his headliners. I don't have it, so I don't have the answer to that. But there's still some okay ones in there.
Yeah.
It should, but the card's actually worse. The 79's worse than the 72. Stat-wise, if you look at it across the board, the 72's better.
It's one of those things, isn't it, where we said about those cards not necessarily like reflecting anything in their rating, so it doesn't surprise me that he's probably more like an 83, 84 rated card, where in actuality that means that this card's a lot worse.
Yep, and whilst this would be a great time, this would almost have been a perfect time to segue into our next topic. We're going to have to hold fire on that amazing silver time. We've got obviously touch on the fact that there are tokens available for FUT Birthday, just like the other sort of major promos we've had. Winter Wildcards, Future Stars, we've now got FUT Birthday, so it seems every major promo, whether it's going to happen for Team of the Season, we'll obviously wait and see. I believe one of us made a prediction when Lind was on that would happen. But obviously some of the cards in there are going to be interesting. I believe there was a Villa in there, the Argentine striker, as well as I can't remember, I never pronounced it right. I think it's Boetus, the Dutch
Dutch guy, yeah,
from the Bundesliga. And there's one other who slips my mind.
I would say they seem to love putting a Bundesliga player in these swaps.
They really do, don't they? They do seem to try and sort of sneak them in. Because previously, last time out, it was Frimpong and Gallagher.
Before that
this
was Gunter.
Time, Gunter was the other one. I couldn't remember. Yeah. Thank you for that. Is there the other one? Must be Premier League, because at this point, the only two that were previously in there were Gallagher, and there was, I'm trying to remember his name. It's gonna come to me.
Oh, Daka. Yeah.
Yes.
So
the card that I have and is now irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant. You don't care about 4-star skills.
No, I don't care about it, and he's not in my FUT Champs team anymore. Which, if ever we're going to segue, would be a good way to do that now.
It would be a great time.
Yeah, so he's no longer in my FUT Champs team. And what we expected from FUT Champs when we were talking about the Silver Stars there was, obviously, there is extra red picks if you are playing with, or getting wins rather, with a Silver Stars team. Now, I have played, today, I've played 14 games. So I'd already played 6 over Friday and Saturday, and I didn't come up against a single one. What about you guys this weekend?
So I did my qualifying on Friday, and I played 9 games of that. I didn't come across a single one on Friday. Then I played all of my matches yesterday, bar one. I came across one person that was using the silver team. I happily gifted him the window, because I was like, I had the mindset when I went into champs that if I came across anybody that was using the silver team, I would just gift them the win, because I thought it's probably going to be a nightmare for them. And I was messaging the guy afterwards, said I enjoy your free win, and he was like telling me, oh yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare and stuff, but he did have a good record at that point. It was quite early on, so he was 4-2, so he had a reasonably good record. But he was telling me that the goalkeeper was doing his head in, defenders weren't like being in the right places. But yeah, I only came across one.
Yeah, at the moment I've actually been going through this at this present time. My record, I'm currently 0-1. I was 3-0 up in a match. I'm currently 3-2. So I am playing FUT Champs whilst recording this podcast, I will admit.
That is impressive concentration. I've got to give.
It is impressive concentration. I am stumbling a little bit, as you may have noticed in some of the words I'm speaking.
To do icon swaps like we've done this, like, you know, guys, like sometimes this is, certainly for me, sometimes the only time that we get. So I will do icon swaps and things like that. I'm currently actually doing the objectives for like the FUT Birthday objectives and Tammy Abraham hybrid combined kind of thing. I don't know if I've got the concentration skills to do FUT Champs whilst recording the podcast. But what I was going to say was with the FUT Silver Stars, did you see more in your qualifier games than you did in FUT Champs? Because I did play against, I think, 2 or 3 in the actual qualifiers, and I know that you can get all the games done in qualifiers and not have to play with the silver team in Champs.
So I came up against one person out of my 10 games, but apart from that, I managed to get a good record for it. I got rank 4 in entry. So I believe that meant I went 6-4.
That's not too bad.
Which, a positive rank, that would have got me into previous weekend league. Previous format weekend league with a silver team. So, we move. Update though, in this game I am now 3-3. Scott Carson had a nightmare.
I mean, that's pretty good. Like with the so when you get your wins to qualify, do you carry on playing or do you give away wins or?
Well, I played on because I needed the bonus ones to try and get the silver player picks as soon as possible. Yeah. But normally I'd just give them away unless I'm specifically thinking I can get something around rank 3.
Yeah.
If I'm unbeaten, I'll try. I've just gone 4-3 up. There's a nice little bit there. KDB stepping up. But for me, I'd normally give stuff away where I can. If I run out of games or I can't go up a tier in pretty much anything, I'll just give the rest away.
Yeah.
Because what's the point in detracting from someone else?
Exactly.
I'm normally about personal bests, but at that point, if it's not going to actually improve my rank, then I'll sack off said personal best.
Exactly. I think if it contributed to your FUT Champions like it could get you further into a starting point for FUT Champs, then I think maybe people would do it.
The only time I wouldn't give them away, it was if they brought back monthly rewards. That would be where it would draw the line. If monthly rewards came back, obviously people would not give away wins, because the more wins you get in a month, you don't have to hit elite. Back in the day, back in our day when FIFA 17 came out, you could get gold 1 every week, and I believe you could get elite rewards, elite 3, just for being in weekend league every week, consistently getting certain scores.
Yeah,
you didn't actually have to hit elite to get elite monthly.
I mean, for me, back in that time when it was monthly rewards, that's when I didn't really ever play FUT Champs. I mainly played FUT Champs after they scrapped that sort of monthly rewards and brought in the instantaneous qualifying. Like, realistically, with the whole collecting the 2,000 points, get your entry, bish bash bosh, you play in FUT Champs. I think that's when I truly picked up FUT Champs for me, myself, playing FIFA. Before that, I would try sometimes going for FUT Champs and entry, but I didn't really take it too seriously like I do it with it nowadays.
Do you find that though? Because this is what I was saying today. So I streamed my games today, and I say that, like, I feel like it's so much more relaxed in terms of, like, I'm not trying to get a particular rank. I just kind of play it. I'm not sweating it. I just try and enjoy playing. Like today, I played some of the best FIFA I played actually to get to rank 5, and I gave away my last 2 wins. I was happy.
Very nice.
I was happy, and also didn't feel like I'd stressed or tried hard to, like, get any of those wins. I felt like I actually just really enjoyed playing the games today. This format that FUT Champs it's been far better in the past. I said it today in the rewards video that I have done more FUT Champs, I think, this year than I've done on any other FIFA, because of how stressful it used to be.
I believe what's done that is the 20 games.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the massive factors.
Qualify ahead of schedule, redeem whenever.
It's definitely a massive factor.
It's made it. I feel like not more casual. Not more casual. I think that's a detraction from it, as much as I was very, if you recall my earlier opinions of, you got to qualify to get in. This is serious now. Those opinions from back in, I'm going to say November. Well, October through November. But it's definitely relaxed people down a little bit more when it comes to champs. At least when you see them streaming more often than not. The average person, maybe not. You do still see people absolutely sweating things out. Mm-hmm. Update, I did win that game, and now Scott Carson's having about a worldie with 5 or 6 saves in this game. It fully depends how end goal based you are. If you're I must hit this or I must hit this,
true,
then you might detract from yourself. Yeah. I always put self-pressure on myself, but not this week. With a silver team, the aim's going to try... it's still a lofty goal. I'm going to try and get 10 wins again. I want to match my previous best with a silver team.
Yeah.
So that was obviously 10-10, although it could have been 11-9. It was a late goal that robbed it from me.
I definitely agree in that, because, like, I'll be in a party with my brother and one of his friends that play FUT Champs, and certainly play it a lot more regularly and a lot more seriously than me, and it would be pure blasphemy. Like, that's all you can hear, and it's a struggle to concentrate on your own game when all you've got is people shouting and swearing at the game in their own games. It's kind of one of them things where, like, you do need a certain amount of concentration with FUT Champs, whether you're playing it seriously or not, just because any small mistake or anything and you can get punished, and suddenly, you know, you want to quit out, or you've got enough games left, you don't want to quit out, so you try to get it back. To try and play it when people are screaming in the background is tough.
I mean, to be fair, I've got your dulcet tones this week to try and do that with, but I've got to basically keep self-control. I'm normally fairly controlled unless I just fully let go, but I'm basically saying I've got to keep really low key this week, because if something really bad happens, I don't want to go in mid-rant on the podcast about some random stupid goal that happens that my player's tripped over the ball 5 times and he's nutmegged my goalkeeper, and
or it's hit the back of the player's
therapy.
head.
True. Yeah, this is almost therapy. Just staying really calm and relaxed in spite of what's happening. It's self-control. It's enlightenment.
It is. Try play FIFA while doing yoga.
There's one thing you definitely can't use in your silver team, and that's icons. Which leads me nicely onto the icon moments that have been released. Now, it's not the full icon moments batch. It's half of them that have been released. But the one thing I would say that is very nice with the moments this year is they've done some nice minor touches on some of the icons. Like, normally they keep the same sort of like weak foot and skill moves pretty much throughout each of the cards, but this year they've taken some icons, they've made even position changes on some of them. Because, like, say for instance, Nedved last year left mid, this year he's a cam. Schweinsteiger is a right mid, which is quite an interesting one. I thought for myself, I had him in my draft last night, and he was very good in a 3-back formation. Don't normally pick a 3-back formation, but I did decide to choose it. I did have a 4-back and a 4-3-3 variant as well, but I decided to try a 3-back.
Okay.
I keep thinking to myself,
listening to me too
exactly. I'm like, should I try it out? Because at this sort of stage, I'd like to experiment and stuff. But we have the icon moments, and in particular, we have Luke's favourite icon, Puskas, who's been upgraded to a 4-star weak foot. Are you happy about that in particular?
Yep, there's another part to it as well, I believe. I believe he's 5-star, 4-star now, if I remember rightly.
He is.
So he is now one of the most expensive icons when he's on the market. I don't believe I've seen one yet. That is something I look forward to, but I won't be able to afford for a while.
That is the downside of something, a change. It's just a minor change like that can have such a big price change on the market for players.
8.5 million, Puskas.
8.5 mil. There you go. Right, I need to gain 7 and a bit mil.
Yeah. Because what was he like last year? Because you always like monitored his price last year for his moments.
When I bought him last year, I paid about, I'm gonna say 3 million. That was during probably about FUT Birthday. I did pack the Vieira and I did splash out on the Puskas briefly before selling him again and then buying him later on in the year.
Yeah.
I think I kept him after Team of the Season. So, actually no, was it during Team of the Season? No, sure, it'd have been afterwards because I'd have used him with the Messi. So it would have been after Team of the Season that I picked up the Puskas for a bit cheaper than 3 million. I think it was about 1.8 maybe. But yeah, the card absolutely could shoot. You could score from most places with his left foot last year. He could even score with his right based off of how actually insane his shooting was. It felt like using Team of the Season Messi. Considering I had both of them, they're both left-footed. They were very similar cards. Maybe Messi was a bit more agile in terms of dribbling, but they were actually crazy. The fact I had both of them together before, what was the promo called? Summer Heat?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact I had both of them together before Summer Heat was something special.
But yeah, so with the icons, obviously we've got a fair few and been added to the drafts as well, which has broken the drafts a little bit because we've had issues of the same player getting 2 versions of them. So you get the prime icon moments and the prime version coming up into the drafts, which is a bit interesting because you can actually put them both into the team at the same time and go into a draft, I believe, with the same icon twice in a team.
Yeah, so that works really effectively with the one I saw, which was Cafu. There was a mid and a moments Cafu at the same time. That's obviously nutty.
Also makes me think that somewhere Capcom Tom is absolutely wetting himself, because technically that's a perfect link.
The ultimate perfect link.
Yeah, it's like when they bring in new cards, sometimes weird things happen. Who could forget when David Beckham got introduced into the game last year? You could very, very briefly, they patched it, I think, the same day, that you could play with David Beckham and Icon David Beckham.
Yes, I remember.
Team. Yeah.
Yep.
The freebie and the Icon.
Yep, the one that everyone convinced themselves, no, this card's not fodder. No, it's David Beckham. It's fodder. If it's an 86 with no redeemable stats outside of passing.
You gonna try and get any of the icons, either of you, to try out perhaps outside of a draft, or are you just gonna mainly trying them out inside a draft?
I don't think I'll have much choice. My pack luck in terms of packing icons is abysmal. If I was to do a special pack that has prime or moments in, I guarantee you I'm getting a prime. So it needs to be a moments pack, which obviously we're not going to get till way down the line. By then,
tots maybe. Wait, month or two away. I reckon we could have just a moments SBC.
By then, I'm just wondering if we'll have the enthusiasm left for the game. Maybe. I saw today. I came up against one, but I guess it may well have been packed, or unless someone was just trying the card out, although I don't rate the card. I came up against Moments Trezeguet.
That's quite cheap, so it could be trying it out. I suppose.
So that people are trying the cheaper ones out, but really when you want to try them out, you want to try out the big guns, don't you? The ones that we can't really afford. So probably just in draft, because I don't think I'll pack one myself. I don't have a lot of hope to pack one, and my coin balance is never those sort of dizzy heights of an 8.5 mil Puskas.
Listen, we don't have to aim for 8.5 mil Puskas. We can just do what I did and pack Vieira instead.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm looking down the list of the cheaper ones. You got John Barnes that I tried out yesterday, who's only 545k, and I think is
looks like a great card.
Underrated. 92 pace, 93 dribbling, 88 shooting, 89 dribbling. Like, pretty good for a left winger in my opinion, or someone that you can convert to a striker. I mean, you could try them out. How many coins have you got, Brad, did you say?
1.1 mil I've got.
You can definitely afford some of them.
Carlos Alberto's 1 mil.
Van Basten looks nice for a 900k. Like, the cards, 3-star, 4-star, 91 dribbling, 97 shooting, 86 pace. It seems to solve a few of his problems.
I can, but you know
what? Left mid's now interesting as well.
Yes, I was going to touch on that. Sadov being a left mid, because I find myself being the type of person that if I'm building my squad and I'm like, I want a CDM player, but I don't want. I've got a 4-3-3 formation on my screen, but my cams and my strikers are taking up the central position slots or the centre mids and the striker. And I'm like, okay, I now need a CDM. I'm going to have to go for someone out wide. Someone like the Sadov, someone like the Schweinsteiger would be good for that, because then you can switch them to a centre mid or CDM in game. I think that's about it. We'll probably see most of these anyway when it comes to the next batch of icon swaps, which is going to be probably May time. That's it with the icon moments. Obviously, they used to play for big football clubs and stuff like that, who've played some matches like the Manchester Derby.
Manchester Derby, a big game today. People would have billed it as, if you weren't a Man City fan. I think it was... So there was a weird statistic, though. I think that Man City have not managed to beat them or something at home. Or I can't remember. I heard an interesting statistic that almost gave Man United hope. Then they played each other today, and obviously it didn't go the way that Man United would have wanted. Kevin De Bruyne being the one who I have marked on my little notes here, so let me just grab them up, as being the man of the match, also getting 2 goals and an assist, would see him probably be the target man of Team of the Week with a 93 rated in form. He obviously has his signature signings, which I think is the same rating. I don't know I don't know whether that will be any more boosted than an inform.
He's got another inform before that, hasn't he? 92.
He's got his 92
inform, a 93.
And then this would be a 93.
The real question that
I think
are asking is it better than his flashback card from last week?
Yeah, I don't think
someone's just given me a win in my guy.
I don't think the flashback card is going to be 93 rated if you work it out on Footbin. But then, so if I go through the list of players that I've got, and I'll try and sort of recall the games as we look. But the first one is Lautaro Martinez for a hat-trick in the Inter Milan game. Also got man of the match as well. So he looks a shoe-in for a 87 in form it puts him at. Because he's already got one in form already, I believe. So that'll be a second in form. Then I've got Ivan Toney for his hat-trick against Norwich. That was a big game for Norwich and Brentford. Norwich needed to win it in order to try and see if they can get themselves off the bottom and actually fight to stay away from relegation. Brentford kind of needed to bridge the gap a little bit more to get themselves away from the relegation zone, and obviously they had a very convincing victory there. Norwich, I think, are mudded. I think this was the final nail in the coffin. I don't know what you guys think.
Oh, definitely. I think it's a given that Norwich are going to get relegated, I feel.
It's not a problem for you, though, because
I'm a Chelsea supporter. Yeah, they played well. Yeah. The only thing about it was obviously when he first came in, Dean Smith looked like he was changing things around. Looked like they were going to go on a run and change the way they were playing. But unfortunately, like you say, it kind of come to an end, I guess, in terms of the
honeymoon period.
Yes, the honeymoon period. So now we're back on that kind of fighting for every single point, and unfortunately, with the tough run of games that they just had, this was a must-win game to try and get themselves off the bottom, and it didn't happen. Coutinho, next one, man of the match, goal and an assist in the Aston Villa game versus Southampton. They looked very, very impressive indeed, considering this is off the back of Hasenhüttl saying, didn't he say that he's got no doubt that Southampton could be a Champions League team?
I didn't see the quote, but based off their recent bounce in form, you could definitely say that, with how they performed against City, against Tottenham.
He said, I'm pretty sure just literally prior to this game, so if there's ever a time to basically jinx your team, it was this, in saying directly almost before this match that there's no reason why they couldn't be a Champions League team, and then they go and get battered to what was arguably a sort of not very in form Aston Villa, because although they've had like a little bit of a better run, they'd had a spell where they had lost a couple of games and drawn a couple of games, so they weren't exactly setting the Premier League on fire or anything like that. Then we've got Kai Havertz, so as we touched on the Chelsea game, so he got himself 2 goals and a man of the match in that game. We'll see him get an 86 in form. You've got Ryan Fraser, and I've put this one down as a potential for like the featured team of the week, because I think he's got the potential to have like a nice looking card if they give him the 84, because he'd only be an 81 rated in form. So he needs the boost in order to really make him more than just a quick sell team of the week, not even fodder, because it'd be 81 rated. It's probably a little bit low for most SBCs that need a team of the week. But he did get a man of the match, goal and assist in the Newcastle game, and that has obviously now seen them just sort of rise to better heights. I don't know about you guys, but I think everybody thought that being Eddie Howe being appointed there was probably a very good manager. I don't know whether we all thought that he would necessarily be there when the money really starts to turn, but he's definitely an improvement for getting them off the bottom, but not just getting them off the bottom, seeing them maybe even challenge to get in the top 8.
What for next season? This is the top 8, or are we talking this season?
No, I think they could do it for this season. Yeah.
I don't know about this season. I don't think they can climb quite that high, considering that means one of the traditional big 6 are missing out. Surely, with West Ham in there as well, you're looking at Tottenham or United maybe missing out on that place.
Maybe
not. Going a
bit
extreme, I think, on top.
Well, they're
8.
7 points off 9th.
Okay. And what are they from 8th?
So actually, I didn't realise the gap between 9th and 8th was so big. It's 5 points between them, so they're 12 points adrift of 8th. Sorry.
Is there games in hand as well? Because that's the other thing that's going around.
So Newcastle have got
a game in hand.
A game in hand on both of those, 9th and 8th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would take it down to 9 points and down to 4 points. So I think it is possible. Southampton and Wolves are those two teams. I don't know about either of them dropping points necessarily. I don't know what their fixtures are like, but Newcastle just look like they're just sort of in a different realm now since
they are. I believe I saw a stat that they're second in the form charts at the moment. But
that's
I'd
impressive,
say
isn't
in
it?
response to this is 12 point. There's 10 games left roughly. There's 10-11 games left. Do you see a 12-point swing in that many games?
Well, it's 9 now, isn't it?
Well, 9. Okay, 9.
Yeah.
But do you want to see that?
I've seen people
swing?
at the top lose 9 points.
Depends on injuries, I would say. I think if injuries affect some of the topper teams like West Ham, Leicester, even more.
Bearing in mind, it's jumping that many teams as well. Are that many teams going to be dropping points? So it's 12 to Wolves, but then it's still 7 or so to Southampton.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know what their fixtures are like.
That many bulk teams dropping points?
Just depends.
Are Newcastle really going to go unbeaten? Because they'd have to win most of these games till the end of the season. Bear in mind. Let's have a quick gander at their fixture list.
That's
Newcastle's
what I was
upcoming
thinking.
fixtures.
They've got to come up against
Southampton,
some of the big ones.
Chelsea, Everton, Tottenham, Wolves.
So
they're coming up against the top sides.
Southampton and Wolves are the two teams in that position that they've got to play.
Tottenham's the one above as well. They play relegation threatened Everton, which is not a phrase I expected to say. They play third place Chelsea as well, as previously mentioned. After that, who've they got as their run-in? Leicester, Norwich, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Burnley. So they play the entirety of the top 4. I don't see them winning all those games, my friends.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to conclusively say now, there is 1% chance they get top 8.
So you'd pay out 100 to 1?
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would have a quid on that. I mean, I'm looking at that fixture list.
Be prepared to lose that quid.
I'm thinking, even if they perform well against the big teams, are they going to claim 3 points off of them? I think the best is maybe a point. Realistically, like Liverpool, City.
But they also can bridge the gaps by beating Wolves and Southampton, can't they?
They can help bridge the gap, yeah, but they've also got other games. I don't know how many games those lot have against the top 4, but they almost certainly don't have 4 of them out of the next 11 to 12 games. That's a quarter of the games are against the big teams.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I'm not including in the big teams my own team, Tottenham. I'm not including Wolves. I'm not including Southampton. I'm including Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Liverpool.
Given their current form,
they're playing a couple of relegation candidates in Everton, who are maybe they'll bounce back under Frank Lampard. We still don't know. Norwich should be a gimme, but outside of those sort of games, they're the only real gimmies. Leicester, looking at this on page, and there's a Palace game to be rescheduled as well. So that's the game in hand against Palace.
Okay.
Which Palace have been a hit or miss team. They've been really, really good, and LAJS tearing it up, I believe, this week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks brilliant.
Depending on whether they're firing, that could be another game. So they, in my opinion, they got a chance against Palace if they don't turn up. Southampton, and it's at St Mary's, so that's going to be a difficult game in itself. Wolves are playing it, so they play Wolves at St James's Park, as they do Leicester. But I think the rest of them are write-offs. Burnley final day as well.
Given their sort of current swing and form, do you feel worried about playing them as a Tottenham fan?
They've always been difficult customers for us. They beat us 5-1 to make us third in a 2-horse race. They managed to get 2 draws against us with Steve Bruce. They beat us with Steve Bruce as well. So they are different. They are a bogey team for Tottenham when we're not in. We're in the most inconsistent form I can remember us being in. So I think my response is no, Newcastle specifically don't worry me.
Yeah.
Tottenham in general and their form worry me.
Fair enough.
Any team on their day can beat them. So this is not taking anything away from Middlesbrough. They're on a great run. But you'd expect on paper Tottenham and in the same vein United to beat them.
Yeah.
They didn't. They deservedly won. It wasn't... the fact I'm saying they deservedly won, it wasn't like it was an underdog victory, but in terms of the way it was played, you couldn't really tell too much.
No.
So it's concerning based on the performances Tottenham are giving out, less than Newcastle in a run of form.
So then the final few I've got on there, which I kind of went for the ones that were basically going to be around about the 83, 84 in-form mark rather than any of the lower ones. I'll leave that to Aaron, and fair play for your research on that. Carlos Soler for Valencia got man of the match, 2 assists and a goal. Could see him get an 84 rated card. Renato Sanchez, man of the match and 2 assists for Lille, sees him get an 83 rated in form, which obviously doesn't seem that impressive, but I guess if you were to get it in your red picks, it's probably actually going to turn into a fairly usable red pick if you can't afford any of the other cards, because there's other cards I imagine are still stupidly expensive. Let's have a little look now. I mean,
his
Renato Sanchez is always expensive. His UCL Live is currently in at 1.4 million, and his 84 signature signings is 570,000 coins. Based on that, the signature signings being that expensive, the inform is still going to be quite a lot. I don't know how well boosted the signature signings card is. It looks about 3 or 4 in most stats, so it will be a similar kind of vein. So this inform could actually, if it does come out, could actually be a really high priced low inform. The other one I've got is that... Sorry?
I don't think it'll be too... I think it'll be pricey, but not like the signature signing levels. I think you're probably looking at, I reckon, 300k.
Which is still pricey if it's an 83 rated.
Yeah, because it's Renato and it's Ligue 1, isn't it? But then you've got other options around that sort of mark as well. That's the
if you
other
want to pay
thing.
300k, you can get them Dombele for a much worse card.
Yeah.
Got Kakarot, you've got Guendouzi winter wild cards, like if people are wanting similar things for that sort of price as well.
There's just something about Renato, isn't there? Every year he just seems to be a broken card in the game.
4-star. He's got a decent body type and the likes. Yeah. Well-rounded stats.
Yeah.
It's to do with that, really.
So the only other one was Raum for Hoffenheim, who got a man of the match and an assist, also clean sheet with a 1-0 win, to see a potential third in form for him at 84 rated as well, which probably makes him look like quite a nice card at left back. I don't know what his second in form looked like. Let's have a little look on.
From what I recall, he's got decent long shots. If I remember rightly, Mers, didn't you do a review for someone based around Raum? Or am I thinking of a different stream?
You're thinking differently, I think. I'm trying to think.
Swear someone had a... It might have been a... Is he Danish, right?
No, he's German.
No.
For Hoffenheim.
Skov is the Danish guy.
That's who I'm getting confused with. There you go. That's on me.
He's 95 pace, 83 dribble and 80 physical on his second in form. This will be 2 ratings higher, so it'll look to be like 97 pace, 85 dribbling, 77 defending, 82 physical. So he could do with a chem style to boost his defending stats, but generally he'll look like a pretty good player as an 84 rated. Someone, if you do pick him up in your red picks instead of one of the premium ones, you wouldn't mind seeing, I think. But we'll see how close to any of those 9 players I am when the actual team of the week makes an appearance.
We will check that thoroughly.
Yeah,
especially
we'll come back to
predicting your featured team of the week is Ryan Fraser. So if that comes in and they don't nail that, then
if that comes in, I feel particularly.
Might want to quit this and then suddenly just call Footbin up. So.
Yeah, just do weekly prediction videos for team of the week.
I got more right than Footbin. Clickbait title uses footage from the podcast.
Yeah.
I predicted team of the week better than Footbin, and people just go, "Well, yeah, it's Footbin."
The problem is there with the Ryan Fraser is I only have the Premier League really to go from there. I'm not going to scour through to look at the Serie A, La Liga, German League, etc. to find that 77 rated player that had a sterling performance to get an 84 rated inform. But Ryan Fraser was the obvious option, getting his man of the match goal and assist in that game.
That is true. Obviously, it'll be really nice for him to get that 84 boost as well, because it means he gets a strong link to Robertson in the SBC.
Yes. Do those player SBCs or icon SBCs or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. That would mean the featured team of the week probably for that link might actually be a little bit more boosted.
It might be, and that might raise a few questions, which we will hopefully have answers to, won't we, Mez?
We do, and I've got to say there are some very, very nice questions this week from the listeners. So, I think we're going to start off with Kofta's question this week. So, he's split over 3 different lines, but we will read it out. So, what matters more in a FIFA card visually, the card design or the dynamic image? So obviously this is only for special cards. This isn't like your normal gold cards where obviously everyone's just got the box standard sort of image. We're talking about like the promo card comes out and you're looking at a card. What is more appealing to you guys? Is it the dynamic image or the card design, or could it be actually a bit of both?
So Kofta mentioned this to me in stream that he was going to ask this question. This is where he originally submitted this from. So my answer at the time, and I don't think it's changed, is the actual design of the card matters more than the dynamic image to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'll say that, as much as we have some really fun and interesting dynamic images from time to time, Gorseth comes to mind. But for me, what I think of as important is, remember, dynamic images don't always show up. You don't even get them half the time until like a week later. So the design sort of carries it for a while, and if it's a bad design, Movember, who wants just a basic brown card with a mustache at the bottom, stuff like that. You think back to what's memorable about cards. I remember pretty much every FUT Birthday one, whether it's the years where it was just sort of like a light shade of blue with little bits of sort of streamers and
the confetti
and the lights
one
at the bottom. Confetti, yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. That was the one with the Bale. Well, I'll say that was the one with the Bale. Sorry, Bale's been in every FUT Birthday promo I think for a while, but
he's been in 3.
It's a lot.
So ones like that. The time they had the pink with the blue cross, or vice versa. I can't remember. I believe it was pink with the. Was it blue with the pink?
Pink with the blue cross, yeah.
Yeah, pink with the blue cross. Ones like that, when that was Striker Ramos SBC, I believe, and the likes.
Yeah.
No, I think that was also centre back Lukaku. Like there's it's the creativity in the promo. The fact there's not really too many position changes in FUT Birthday is obviously a shame, but at the same time, you do enjoy the dynamic images when they come up. Let's remember when Osimhen and Mertens had similar ones for Napoli, where they're both making some weird sort of pointing with where they're making pointing almost like a dance and looking the opposite way at each other or looking back at each other. It was quite nice. I sort of liked stuff like that, but I still think mainly the design carries of the card more than the dynamic image.
The one thing I would say is very funny, if you could draw a graph of FIFAs, right, and of things like overall quality of gameplay and quality of card design, you'll see the line for quality of the game going downwards as time goes by, but the quality of the card designs with each FIFA is going upwards. Like, it seems to be the one thing with FIFA. Like, every year we look at the card design, we go, oh wow, this card design looks way better than it was last year. Like, that's one positive realistically with FIFA that they seem to be getting right, is the card designs improving pretty much like every single year.
Basically, it's not the design team's problem, it's everything else's, whether it's in terms of gameplay or whatever. But the design team seem to nail things down. In terms of the market, obviously, people complain about sometimes some people complain about too many promo cards. I probably would be one of them, saying there's too many promos. But stuff like that, where there's too many promos, the design team technically are at fault for that by making so many good designs, but in the same vein, they do a bloody good job based off of... I remember what the sort of first ones to watches looked like, where it was just it got rid of the gold from the inform cards and just made it a sort of matte black background.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Those days, I believe Kante had that at Chelsea.
Yeah,
that was
he did.
The year that was.
Well,
that was
I'm going to Google that right now. One to watch, Kante.
Pretty sure that was FIFA 17.
I think so. I think one
FIFA 17 indeed. Yeah, just the black design with a little bit of yellow on the edges, basically.
Really, really disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not exactly anything iconic yet, but the further it's gone on, you got more and more interesting. It
FIFA 19
basic changes, and then FIFA 19 is where they started shoveling in. Interesting stuff.
I think for me, like, the dynamic images of like the icon moments are quite important, because they're kind of the same card design every year. They really don't differ from the icons at all much, whereas FUT Birthday or some of the other promos tend to even change colour scheme. You know, we know what we're getting with an icon card. It's going to be white, it's going to be gold. So the dynamic images on them are kind of the thing that does separate it out a little bit. Whereas with the promos like the FUT Birthday, with, you know, scare cards or all of them sort of things, they have a bit more reign to be able to do something on them. So I do prefer seeing that. But not only that, when you pack it, it's the flares and everything else that goes on with it as well, that kind of, yes, the card looked nice when it's sat there in a pack, but it also looks just really nice when it comes out with all the fireworks and the smoke and all that stuff. So for me, definitely card design is the biggest thing. But when it comes to those that don't tend to differ, I'm looking more at the dynamic image. So I'd like to see more of the dynamic images of the icons to be just a little bit more unique, rather than just, you know, everyone can fist pump or everyone can scream, you know, in a football match, and that probably happens more than anything else. But something unique where they're holding the trophies and things like that. I really like that. I think they're lovely touches.
But not all of them can do that, you know.
No, they can't.
Fortunately, there's not many Tottenham icons, so they don't have that restriction on there. But other teams as well would have those problems.
Yeah.
I do like a good icon dynamic. I think that's
this year who's got it? It's Cafu's got, I believe, one holding a trophy.
I'm now going to have a look at I just wanted to see what the icon moment ones were. I know I'd seen a couple of predictions of the images before they came out. I didn't know whether they were.
Sure, that's one I wanted to touch on at the time. Gattuso's got a decent boost. That Gattuso card's actually pretty damn good. That
is the other thing I do like about that is what I do like actually about moments cards, is that you get some players that, this is why I wondered when I saw Trezeguet today whether like I'm missing something, because you do actually get a lot of cards that tend to go from unusable to actually being quite good.
Well, even previously, Gattuso, people would not have cared last year when Moments Gattuso came out.
No,
but he's now worth I believe 700k, and if you look at the card, it actually looks like a monster.
So looking down,
that looks like an insanely good card. I'm all over that.
Cafu's I like with the trophy. Cannavaro's again with the trophy. A lot of the others, I've got to admit, are a little bit. Yeah, these are a little. The first page I'm looking at, nothing else screams out to me to be that great. Roberto Baggio's quite nice. He's like doing a kiss with both hands as he's running away. But everybody else's is kind of a bit static.
Like Puscas's. To sound biased, I do like Puscas's.
I like Pele's arms wide kind of aeroplane. Like when you're a child pretending you're an aeroplane. Looks like that's what he's doing there.
Right. Going into the next question then from Futix. This is a last minute question that came in.
It was very exciting.
Very exciting.
We were holding up the podcast to wait to see what this was. We kid you not. We were just about to record and we saw there is an incoming question. So
incoming question
and timed absolutely perfectly.
So the question is right here regarding objectives that I thought of when banging out some icon swaps last week. What is your favourite or least favourite objective requirement, i.e. finesse, crosses, through balls, long shots? There are any requirements that you would turn off during a objective? So basically never ever see it ever again. They need to go in the bin, basically. What are your least... I think, to be fair, I think it's going to be least favourite, right?
Least favourite is one I've just done, which I'm quite grateful of. And that is crosses. Without a doubt. I hate it. Because it's one of those where as soon as people know that's what you want to do, they mark you harder than ever on those scenarios. So you kind of have to do even more to get a crossed goal than you would usually if you're just playing the game naturally.
Just use Andre Silva. There you go, job done. Problem solved.
For me, I would say when they really, really make it specific. So it'd be like, you have to score an outside of the box with an English defender with who has to have a minimum of 4-star skill moves. It's like
they never go that in depth. You combine a couple.
That's a little bit,
there.
yeah.
Like I know you were making your point,
but yeah,
is where it's getting a bit too far. They'll do like a weak foot with a nation or something like that. They'll combine two.
They have done a couple where it's nation position, I think, but not.
I've seen like nation
position.
And 4-star weak foot, but I've never seen 3 things combined.
Yeah.
I'm currently, again. So I'm doing the objective here, and there is the assist with a through ball. So I guess that's a second objective. So assist with a through ball with a 4-star weak foot player. So technically there are 3 things there because it's got to be an assist, a through ball, and a 4-star weak foot player. But I don't think they've ever been quite that specific. It's not like it also has to be a defender.
If I'm going to do stuff like that, it's normally in week 1 gold or something like that. They'll do stupid, annoying things. I notice that a lot because I try and get level 30 ASAP, for better or worse. So this week they've got score a goal using a left wing and score using a right wing in the same squad battles or rivals match. Can be on semi-pro, so you can just get them out of the way. Assist 3 goals in rivals with minimum of 4-star skill moves. That's going to happen naturally. Score a volley. This is moving on to where I don't like, is when it starts asking you for volleys or headers, because you always score the opposite. It'll always go score a volley. You want to go for a header? Got you, mate. Got you. I've got you.
And you key it in, and suddenly your player steps back from the ball, and you're like, "No, I want you to header this," and they delay and step back and volley it. Yeah, it's frustrating. I am interested to hear the ones you like though, and I'm not talking about being unrealistic where it says like score a goal to get team of the year Messi. You know, that's not a realistic objective to be able to just have to score 1 goal. But what ones do you like trying to achieve?
So I would not, if this was last FIFA, I'd say through balls, because I would normally naturally score all the time with through balls. I find I'm having to force stuff like that, and as soon as I see them, I stop playing my natural game to try and force it.
We kind of talked about this, didn't we, or touched on it in the stream.
Yeah, I see through balls, and I'm like, through balls is normally something I'm really on top of. I do a lot of through balls, but then I find when I've done the through ball and the objective, I've then got to make another pass, and I have to make that a through ball. Otherwise, it's for nothing. And you're like, basically all of them slightly get on my nerves when I'm doing stuff, just because I tend to change my play style rather than just play naturally. And when I stop playing naturally, that's when I start doing a lot worse. So that's where my problems come in.
I quite like the ones where they're just like, you don't have to do it in separate games. So like if you are playing a game, I mean, it doesn't matter in terms of most of the online games, because if you're playing Golden Goal, then a lot of people will quit anyway. But say for instance you can do squad battles to do an objective, and it's just score 30 of these. You can I like that you can just get that done, and it's not a case of having to play 30 different games. You can play one or you can play two, depending on what sort of level you're playing it at. So I quite like those.
Yeah, I do like them as well. It does me in all the time. It gets me.
The separate matches of squad battles is the one that I don't like the most, because
it's just boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tedious. And I don't think there's any other way they'll be able to improve squad battles. It is what it is. You're playing against the computer. There's no way to make it any better, other than not making it winning 6 separate. Maybe if they made them a bit more like the FUT Birthday objectives or things like that, where it's not a case of you've got to play this team 11 players of Eredivisie, win 6 matches, and instead if they made it you need to play with the 4-star weak foot player. I know this would increase the prices of certain players in Eredivisie and stuff, which then may provide a different problem. But if they made some of the more specific objectives, so it was like you could just play 3 squad battle games, but you had to like score from outside the box in one, you had to do a cross in one, or you had to assist with a 4-star weak foot player in that one. I think that would be nicer than having to always do 6 wins. And that's why you see all the time now on Twitter and things like, this is how you can get 3 teams done in one sitting, because that is what people want. They want that solution, because no one wants to sit there and grind out whatever it is, 36 games of squad battles, or 30 games, depending on how many you have to do in squad battles.
Thank you very much, FUTix, for coming up with that question at the last minute. I think we thoroughly like the look of that question. So, our last question for the Q&A section is coming from GH, and I'm pretty sure we haven't covered music before. So, he has asked us to rank these genres of music in order from favourite to listen to least favourite to listen to. So the genres that he's listed down are country, electronic, pop, hip hop, jazz, reggae, drum and bass, dubstep, metal, R&B, rock and roll, and he's missed rock. So we'll be adding rock into that, GH.
Oh, I just removed rock and roll and put rock.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to probably list all 12 of them down, because we could be here for a while if we were to rank each one of them from 1st to 12th. So I think we'll go with the top 3, bottom 3, and then we'll talk about some of the other genres as well. Who wants to go first for the top 3?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Go on then.
So my number 1 is R&B. I grew up listening to it basically all the time. My brothers always were a massive fan, so that's what I've grown up listening to, and would probably be mostly what you'd find on my iPod, which I've had since I was 18. So it's one of the old school iPods, and probably worked better than any ones they made after that. It's one of those ones where if you dropped it, it didn't break at all. It just scratched a little bit. My second on there is pop. I've had to put it in there because actually it wouldn't have been in there as just pop, because it depends what sort of pop we're talking about. Like, I'm not talking about cheesy kind of Britney Spearsy kind of stuff, but unfortunately so much falls into the genre of pop that I do listen to that I would have to say it. But it's more like, I don't know, maybe less commercial pop than some of the things it means, what would be meant by if you said to someone pop. There's obviously like your classics, like I was a massive fan of Michael Jackson, and growing up I did sort of, I suppose, the problem is I've got a different take on this a little bit because I'm a singer, so I have always kind of sung this kind of stuff as well. But my third one is rock. without a doubt, I love rock music. Anything from, again, it's a little bit different in genres, but anything from rock to indie rock is kind of everything I like and in between.
Luke, what are you saying for top three?
So my top three, I am going more along the sort of. I'm more of. I've said I've become a bit more edgy in recent years. Years ago, this would have been, pop, maybe some hip hop. We also haven't mentioned rap in here, which is interesting. I assume are we putting that under hip hop?
Again, they are different, but yeah,
they're different, but sure. I've put rock as my number one, and metal as my number two. Okay. I grew up on a lot of these sort of things. I think back to one of my favourite soundtracks to a game that Brad might know, which is TOTW 07. That soundtrack was so good to me. I recount most of the words from most of those songs still to this day. So I am a big fan of rock and a big fan of metal. And I've got a third one, which is a bit controversial. And I'm going to go with dubstep. So I'm open to the ridicule on this one. I do like the bwab bass. So we'll see what you guys think on that. But I'm a fan personally.
Okay. So for myself, number one is rock. Absolutely love it. I love Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. Panic at the Disco is probably my favourite band to probably listen to at the moment. Like, if I get an album of theirs, I like pretty much every single song they have on the albums. Number two, I'm gonna have to go with pop. Love a bit of cheesy pop, you know. Growing up, listening to Spice Girls, Steps, S Club 7 and stuff like that, you know. You gotta embrace your history with music and stuff like that, I feel. So, you know, can't say no to a bit of listening to Spice Girls or something like that in the car. Then the third one. Now the third one's a bit of a hard one to decide on because of how much variety of music I listen to. It's like, okay, what do I want to pick as the next one? So there's like R&B, electronic, metal, bit of hip hop. So I'm going to say number 3 is going to be electronic, probably, but more pop-like electronic, I would say. So a bit of like Daft Punk.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. But then, What about the bottom 3? Now, this is where we could have a bit of variety between us. So, we could have a bit of similarity.
I'll start again, and we'll just get straight into it. Dubstep's at the bottom.
Okay.
I don't understand it, if I'm honest. And it may be, like I say again, because of the singing thing, I tend to not like anything that doesn't have lyrics. So he hasn't put it on here, but I would even say classical music I struggle with, even though I can appreciate it. I just don't, it's not for me. I like something I can get into and sing along with. Dubstep definitely isn't one of them. Likewise, my then second from last is drum and bass.
Yeah. For
almost the exact same reason. And then 10, I've put electronic because I was thinking of it more like techno and dance music for me. I don't like it. I don't like. Do you know what the pet hate even more so on this one is when they take a dance tune and they take a good song from way back when and they put the lyrics to it and just completely ruin the song. That is one of my pet hates.
Okay.
Say if they take for instance, an Elton John song and put it to some techno, it's something I'm not a fan of.
What about you, Luke?
So my bottom one is a bit of country music. I don't mind most of these, so this isn't on I hate this.
Yeah,
it's not on I don't see the point in it. Start with Brad and sort of electronic dubstep, etc. But country is the one I'd listen to the least. There's some stuff on GTA that I'd listen to Rebel Radio from time to time on that, so maybe a bit of Willie Nelson every now and then, but depends on context and when we're messing about on GTA. Similar vein, reggae's never really clicked with me. That's my second bottom one. Reggae.
It was close to bottom for me as well, to be fair.
Yeah, it's good vibes, but no, it just doesn't quite hit as much as other stuff with me.
It's probably because you need the wacky backy for reggae.
And I'm definitely not about that life. So, finally though, for me, it's a bit of smooth jazz. As much as I do like jazz, depending on the mood I'm in. Heck, I've even had it on stream as a background music before. The other type of music just hits different with me, whether it's nostalgia, childhood, or what. I've never had that kind of connection with jazz. So jazz I'll listen to. Jazz is still not bad, but I listen to other things before I listen to jazz.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, again, I'm going to be on the same path as Brad here, I think. So dubstep is right at the bottom for me. I just can't stand that stuff. I'm like, how do people like this sort of thing? And same drum and bass. How do you like listening to stuff that is just going to give you a headache after like 30 seconds?
Back to the Future's coming out soon. With,
it's going to definitely have a dubstep background. Definitely.
You watch.
You've got to.
This is going to be an MLG dubstep remix of Back to the Future.
We've
Something good packed, spinning screen with dubstep just absolutely blaring full pelt.
Yeah, we set you up
get
for that.
The camera, everything like that.
Oh,
that's a mistake.
Please.
Looking forward to the country reggae episode of Bonus Draft Builder as well.
I mean, I said I don't mind them.
No,
I'm not overly hating on it.
I'll let Mers finish.
You're welcome
and I'll
to
touch
do
on
that.
a point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one is reggae. Like, I think, as I said, you need to be the wacky backy kind of person to want to listen to that, or you come from that culture to begin with to probably fully appreciate that genre of music. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I personally don't enjoy listening to it myself. Obviously we've got other genres in here like the country, rock and roll, jazz and stuff, but they're just above it. But the odd song from those genres I would happily listen to, whereas I don't think there's any like song from reggae I would listen to. So yeah, guys, let's now fully break this down and discuss. And
so what I was going to say in terms of, you kind of touched on it because you said the word culture. So the problem with this is that a lot of it will be based on kind of what you've grown up with and what you've been brought up around, because a lot of the music that I kind of listen to is because my parents listened to it. So if your parents weren't ones to listen to reggae, country, didn't have sort of country radio, and not only that, we live in a country where only up until recently, when DAB has become a thing, there wasn't much in the way of radio stations in our country that had country music and things like that on it, so it wasn't readily available to us as it is now. I think that, like Luke said, the only way you were going to listen to it is if you were playing GTA, and who's really then paying much attention to the music back in the day? All you were looking at was trying to steal a car and take someone somewhere to watch the car rock back and forth. So that was kind of how GTA was in my day. I weren't necessarily thinking about listening to the radio, whereas obviously now maybe you do pay a little bit more attention to the songs. Maybe it's just because of how culture has changed a little bit over time. So I think with most of us, it's probably going to be different to what you might get from somebody who's now entering their teens. I think people might get more and more eclectic as they get older from what they listen to, because they've just got a much more vast array of music that they can actually be introduced to now, whereas back in the day I feel like it was kind of, I don't know whether this still, I'm going to sound really old here when I say this, but like back when I was at school, it was basically what we called emos and townies. That was it, pretty much it. And if you're a townie, you listened to pop music and you listened to R&B, and if you were an emo, you listened to heavy metal or rock music, and that was just kind of it. There wasn't really anything else in between.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
So it was kind of that, you know, I probably got into actually the sort of more, let's say, indie rock and things like that from actually watching American Pie. Would probably be where I first got into listening to that sort of music, because in terms of them sort of style of rock bands and things, my parents weren't really into them. They grew up listening to like Fleetwood Mac and things like that, which, don't get me wrong, they're a band I love, but it's not the kind of that style of rock that, you know, Sum 41 are, or there's the people like
Blink
Sum 41, Blink 182, yeah, people like that. You kind of, I got into listening to them from watching, you know, American Pie and thinking, oh, this song's really cool, I wonder what this is also really cool as well. And then they had there was a magazine that would come out that was basically had a song from each, a song from different bands, but it was all kind of that same genre. Can't remember what the magazine was called. Kerrang! Yeah. And so then I'd buy a Kerrang thing and I'd find different artists and kind of develop that myself. But generally, growing up with what my parents listened to, it was pop and essentially, you know, like I say, Fleetwood Mac, and that they are bands, but they're still pop bands as opposed to rock bands, and R&B and generalized pop. So that was kind of what I grew up with. It's only by exploring those things that you just kind of find, oh, actually I quite like this, and then that rock turned into metal, and that rock turned into me listening to like System of a Down and listening to Slipknot and things like that. So it does definitely develop, but I think that nowadays, because people have so much more access to music through YouTube, through different, you know, Deezer, Apple Music, all these things to try and find music through. Like, I think you obviously get like you're suggested on the playlist, don't you? If you've got like something that you like, it'll then be, oh, you might like this, so let's play this song to you. So I think we've been a bit hindered as we've grown up to where technology is compared to like what it's like now.
I don't know about me. I've had those opportunities available, I'd say. I wouldn't quite put myself in that bracket. I've had a bit more opportunity for some wings to be spread.
Well, that's it. There's like a sort of 10-year age difference pretty much between me and Brad and you.
Thanks for that,
Luke. So that's
hence
probably
I
where it
understand
is.
dubstep.
Yeah, this is true.
Pretty much.
Luke understands that I'm like, turn off that noise.
Wow.
Well, it looks like you're listening to it looks like you're watching a muted version of Bonus Draft Builder this week. No, I'm kidding. That's your series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Well, you said System of a Down, right?
Yeah.
And when I've had System of a Down on the stream, like, people are like, oh, what is this? Like, this is just screaming and shouting. I'm like, it's not. It's really good phone music. Like, it has good instrumentals. I think that's another thing I like listening carefully to about like rock music is the instrumental sections some songs have, especially on the classic rock. Like you get with Queen, for instance, like that have the guitar solo or something like that. Those like little bits I enjoy the most when listening to music. Sometimes I don't even pay attention to the lyrics. I'm mainly listening to the instrumentals instead.
Well, on the subject of that, can I say, have you listened to a band called Dream Theater then?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so they are someone where they are kind of exactly what you just said. They kind of actually, it's gonna like sound like I'm being I'm going against what I said earlier, but I'm not. They're like a classical version of a rock band. It's not classical music, but what they are is they do epic rock songs where there's singing in it. There is singing to it, but they were like 9 or 10 minute songs where like there's just epic guitar solos. There's epic drum. Like they've got the drummer they had back in the day, Mike Portnoy, is the best drummer in the world. There's hands down, and like the songs are just generally epic, and you could listen to it and appreciate so many different things about the songs. I would definitely recommend them as a listen if you like that sort of thing.
Do you want to add anything, Luke, about the music and stuff?
No, I think we've virtually covered everything on that front.
Tell me a dubstep artist to listen to, Luke, and I'll give him a chance.
Let me have a quick look then for you. Which one I think you'd be most likely sort of with. I guess let's have a look through what Just having a quick look through my playlist.
I was just looking through some of my songs that I've got on mine, and I've got to say I probably should change my number 3 electronic. I don't seem to have any actually I have a couple of electronic songs on. I should change it to hip hop because I got more hip hop than electronic.
What I would like to know is, do you generally have Spice Girls in your car?
I do have Spice Girls, S Club 7, Steps on my playlist.
Love that.
I still have stuff like that in there at certain points, but not.
Got 4 Spice Girls songs on.
One song I like personally. I've used it many a time in my actual videos. Is "Invisible" by Julian Dreisig and Zeus X Corona.
Okay.
So that's not the best name in these days and ages, but it's one I like a lot. I vibe with that song hard, but it's not the most dubstep. I'd say that's not quite there in that sense. It's probably more D&B, but it's a song that I absolutely just vibe with.
I will give it a listen.
I'll probably find a better one off camera now, but that's a better example. But
Mers, anyone we should listen to specifically that you listen to that's sort of not someone that. So like we said, Dream Theater you'd not heard of, and then the dubstep obviously neither of us have probably heard of, but anyone that me and Luke wouldn't really have heard of that you listen to that you think is quite niche.
That's it really. I've got to find something that you might not have heard of. I think everything you probably might have heard of. I mean, there's obviously people that have come out with like maybe one hit wonders and stuff like that, but
yeah,
in terms of mainstream artists, I don't think there genuinely is. I mean, Alpha Beat is a pop.
Yeah, I remember
band
Alpha Beat. Yeah,
quite like. Yeah,
Fascination.
Yep, that's it. Fascination, 10,000 Nights and stuff. Obviously, what else we got here? Ooh, there's so much stuff. There's like hundreds of songs on here right now. Plus, I also got stuff that my wife added.
I'll stay tuned. I'll wait for you to send me someone that I might not have heard before that you like, and I'll give them a listen. I like to always. It's a good way to explore like new stuff. I love that sort of thing. Like you say, whatever happens, we're eclectic anyway. It's not like we just are one genre trick ponies. You know, we listen to everything.
Yeah, exactly. Heck, even a bit of classical from time to time. You never know. Not full on classical, but like I can appreciate it.
I could definitely appreciate it. Yeah, definitely.
I would say
there's
one
definitely
thing
some that I'd use
about my playlist is a lot of songs come from like listening and hearing a song on a movie or TV show or something like that. Like say Guardians of the Galaxy, when that came out, a lot of the songs that were in Guardians of the Galaxy, never heard them before, and I added them to my playlist. I got the album and I added that because I was like, I quite like some of these songs and stuff, and a lot of my playlist is actually could be associated to things like video games, like what was it, Borderlands, the song that was on Borderlands, what's the song
first
called?
One? Ain't No Rest for the Wicked?
Yep, that one. I added that to the playlist because like that is a cracking song.
It is a banger. Even Borderlands 2 of Ain't No Place for Heroes or something along those lines is decent.
Yeah, so every time if I hear that, and then those would be the main ones that I have for my playlist that I would want to have when I'm driving, because obviously if one of my wife's main songs come on, I tend to skip it.
Yeah. There's actually weirdly an artist that I discovered on BBC. What do they call it? It was like BBC. It was either Sessions, or it's like where they discover new artists on BBC or something. And it's not someone that most people listen to, but this song came on when I was driving to work, and I don't know whether it was just because I was in a particular frame of mind at the time of work, but I just really loved the song. And weirdly then, I think roll back to the following FIFA, he's actually on FIFA, and it's a guy called Tom Misch, and you should definitely check him out. He's another one, he's got a few different kind of, he sort of touches in a couple of different genres, bit kind of sort of pop, but then he also does a bit of I was supposed solely kind of sounding tracks and things. I would definitely give that a listen and check out the ones. I'm pretty sure he's either on. I think he may have done last FIFA, and he might have even had one on this FIFA as well. But I really enjoy him. He's quite an easy, laid back kind of listen.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, guys, if you've got any suggestions, listeners,
definitely.
Head over to our Twitter page and tag us with some suggestions of songs, bands, groups, whatever it is that you feel like maybe we've never heard of and would want to suggest to us to maybe check out, because I'm always on the lookout for newer songs and stuff like that, because I haven't really added much to my playlist in a while, so maybe that would be helpful. But that is it for this week's Q&A section. Thank you for all the questions, everybody, that you have sent in. If you do want to send in any more questions, please join our Discord. Link is down in the description down below. But that is it. Thank you for listening, everybody. And Brad and Luke, thank you for participating in this podcast as always.
No problem.
Always a pleasure.
And we will see you all next week. Bye-bye, guys.
Peace
See you
out.
later.